But I literally get depressed when it's time for my hair to get done. Seriously. So think about how your children feel. Think about, if you want them to have think highly of themselves, present them as such, right? You look good, you feel good. Hey y'all. Hey, hey, hey. This me, is that you? So y'all know everything done on my channel is with love, and I'm coming from a place where things I've learned along the way. I told y'all I'm 58 years old, had my first child in high school. I actually had 2 kids by the time I was 19. That's something I'm proud of. Actually, I was ashamed, but don't get it twisted. I love my kids. When I became a mother, I stopped being a child. Basically, I had to grow up quick. My oldest daughter was 2 years old. I'm sorry, 2 months when I got my first job, and then when I got in the 12th grade, I worked half a day. And so yeah, I've been working ever since. I believe in hard work. I believe in discipline your kids. I believe in when you take your kids to other people's homes, you teach them to be respectful of other people's things, and teach them how to learn and sit, and don't be running around being disrespectful, jumping on people's furniture, getting in grown folks' conversation. That's just the way we were raised. And a lot of times as you get older, you find yourself becoming your parents. You really do. So I just want to I want to start by saying that my channel is all love, right? This is my ministry. And my goal is to uplift, to motivate, inspire others, especially single mothers, because it's hard having to do it yourself. And my heart really goes out to a single mother with more than one child, because you know why? You only have 2 hands, right? So I mean, you're maximizing it with 2, because if you're out and you're single with your 2 kids, you got a hand for each child, and you can wear a crossbody purse. But when you have more than that, then you got kids having to hold each other hand because you can't hold their hand yourself. But yeah, so this message is for anyone who is helping to raise children, whether it be the mother, the father, the guardians, whoever is responsible for those children. So one of the things is you want to make sure that you're sending them out in your home with something to fight with. And when I say something to fight with, I mean pride. Pride in the way they carry themselves. The young ladies, the way they carry themselves. Cover yourselves. The young men, pull your pants up. Wear your belt. Like my pastor always say, no one was afraid of Obama. I mean, nobody's afraid of you or intimidated by you if you got your pants hanging. You can't form a complete sentence. But when you have that education, and when you can speak and you can pronounce words, and you can make your subjects and verbs agree, that's when people are afraid. So, but when we talk about how we rearing our children, and we thinking, if you look back and I remember going back and looking at the pictures of my grandmother and my aunts, and some of them were sharecroppers, and one of my grandmother's brother had a whole lot of land. We had a pecan orchard. I remember picking pecans as a child. But one thing I can remember about them, and their old pictures, the ladies had their hair done. They had their skirts knee length, but they were starched and ironed. They had their hair done. The men had on suits, didn't they, y'all? I'm serious. Or if they had on pants, they had on button-down shirts, and they were tucked in. They had their shoes clean. They just took pride in their appearance, and that's very important. I know for me as a single mom, so my daughters, when they were young, I did their hair myself until they got older, and then I started sending them to the beauty shop. But I used to do their hair faithfully, and I wasn't one of those moms to comb their hair one day and let it last a whole week. No, I got up every day and combed my children's hair, and my son went to the barber shop every other week, and still to this day he does. We started out at the beauty school, and I remember it was difficult because he would cry. One time we had gone to the beauty school and he cut up so bad, the woman come back there and told us that we couldn't, it sounded like we were hurting him, but we weren't. So she let us get through doing it, but I had to explain to her that because he had autistic kids, if you don't know, they don't like anybody in close proximity to them. it makes them nervous or anxious or whatever. So, but so I just wanted to come on and talk about some things. If train up a child in the way they should go, and if they stray away, they'll come back, because I've been taught or told it takes 21 days to form a habit and a lifetime to break it. So if you're what word I want to use? I wanted to say faithful, but if you're consistent in the way that the things that you do with your children, they won't forget it. They won't forget it. Yeah. I things I taught my kids is, if you've been invited somewhere, don't go empty handed. If you're going to a cookout, you need to bring something. Maybe it be some sodas, or ask the hostess, what can you bring, right? So don't go empty handed. And I don't know, just some things. But anyway, so I wanted to start off, I'm 5 minutes in, but I wanted to start off saying the most important thing you can give your children is a relationship with Christ. And I remember as a kid going to Sunday school, but we weren't a family where we had to go to church every Sunday. And I don't remember going to midweek service. I don't. I remember my grandmother, my mother's mother. She was in the church. She was in Isaac and Rebecca, and she was a deaconess in the church, and she was faithful to the same church that I belong to now. But I do remember going to Sunday school with her, not all the time though. So I think that for me, if I had been brought up in the church starting as a little kid, I probably wouldn't have been a teenage mom. But maybe I would have, because it does happen to children in the church too. It does. But I think if I'd have had a relationship with Christ earlier than now, well, I'm not gonna say now, but maybe, about 20 years ago. But if I had started really, really early, maybe my life would have taken another road. I don't know, but I'm just saying. But everything I've been through has made me the person I am. And I talked about in one of my videos, God forgives, but sometimes we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. So this weekend is the 40th reunion of my high school graduation, and so they had an event tonight. I didn't go because I'm actually getting prepared it's our pastor's anniversary also, and y'all know I work in the kitchen, and so I felt like I was obligated to do it. I probably could have said this weekend I won't be available, but I'm going to make it to some of the events. I won't be able to make it to all of them. Like, I didn't go tonight because I had to go out. I came back and got my son when I got off, and we went and got the things that we needed for Sunday, which is the his anniversary celebration. But a relationship with Christ is very important, and one of the main reasons is that's where your help comes from. Having a relationship with God. Like, think about it. You give your kids a relationship with God. And if they go to school and they don't meet one friend, they got a friend in Jesus who's always there, right? So and it was really important for me to instill that in my son, because as a child in school with autism, he didn't have a lot of friends. He had, but he wasn't bullied. He had one incident in the 7th grade, and it was at a school where my daughter used to teach. But that particular year when he got there, she'd already moved to Houston, and some of the little kids there knew her, and they knew that he was her little brother, and so they handled the guy, but he ended up getting kicked out for the year, and it had nothing to do with my son. But so that's the only issue he had in school with a situation that could have been considered bullying. But I made it my business. I thought it would. I knew that it was my responsibility to give them that, because that's the one thing that you can give your child that will last them the rest of their life. You can buy them the best of everything, but all of that, the value fades. But the relationship with Christ appreciates every year of your life. Yeah. So make sure that you give your kids a relationship with Christ. Make sure that your children are properly fed. A child can't learn if their stomach is growling. You know what I'm saying? Can you function as an adult? Say, for instance, you're out shopping and you get hungry. What happens? I have to get something to eat, And so my mom used to say, little kids eat one meal and that's all day long, right? So that's why they have breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, and then dinner. And then sometimes there's a snack before they go to bed. We just have to make sure it's more healthier than, chips and things like that. But I've been researching, and I researched, and I found one thing that I love that I have for breakfast so much, and I'm a creature of habit anyway. I eat peanuts and apples, cosmic crisp apples, every morning during the week, and a lot of times on the weekend I just do an intermittent fast. I don't really eat until like noon. So that's one thing, a relationship with Christ, and two, make sure that they're properly fed. Make sure that your children are clean. Make sure that they're bathed and that their teeth are brushed. There's no sleep in their eye. There's no boogers in their nose, no white around their mouth. The ears are clean with a Q-tip and a towel. And make sure you scrub their neck. And this is not to have your children to go in the bathroom and do it themselves. You have to check them. I think my kids were probably, honestly, this may sound crazy, but my kids may have been in junior high before I stopped checking them, because I just felt like children don't know. They have to be taught. Remember I talked about the 21 days to form a habit, and so I just feel like we were raised, we used to tell our kids, you're going to eat, take a bath, and go to bed, right? So getting that warm bath at night's put you to sleep. And my daughter used to say sometimes they go to bed be sticky because she said I put that Vaseline on them. They used to tell me my son would be greasy. But you know what? For me, if a child is greasy, not necessarily greasy, but moisturized, that lets you know somebody care about them, don't it? Can't you see the difference? If a little kid go out ashy, the first thing people say, their parents don't care about them. They don't. So then you want to moisturize your children from head to toe. I just talked about that. Use Vaseline and rub it in real good, though. Like I said, you don't want them to be too greasy. Oh, so that's why I say if your children are under 12, make sure that they are actually bathing and not just playing in the water. Like I talked to my daughter one night. She said that my grandbaby was in the bathroom. I said, I know you're going to go behind her. She said, yeah. She just give him a little chance to go in there and play and let him see what he can do for himself, and then go in there and correct him. And for your boys, you got to get them a haircut every 2 or 3 weeks. And then you know what? Sometimes if the hair grow out fast, or if you want to get them braids, make sure that they're lined up real neat. I'm telling y'all, it makes a difference. A child has higher self-esteem when you send them out in the world looking presentable. Yeah. I'm telling you, my son, if I let him go 3 weeks without a haircut, he started looking like he thrown away. That's me now. That's why I love to see a little well-groomed child. And I'm telling you, we're on my son's barber. No, and I talk about my son a lot, and a lot of people say, why are you talking about him? He's 23 because he don't drive. He's too anxious to drive. But I make sure that he gets that haircut. I mean, every Sunday his hair is on point. Yeah. Also, mothers. And I talked about this. Our ancestors didn't have much, but they were proud. They made sure that they took care of their children, their families, and each other. Yeah. Every picture that I've ever seen of my elders, they're all deceased now. The ladies had their hair laid, dresses, shirts neatly ironed, well moisturized. They did all this with a very little. So there is no excuse for anyone to allow their children to go around looking disheveled. There's no excuse for it. My mom used to say soap and water. There's no excuse in being lazy, your house being dirty, because soap and water clean anything. And I remember my great aunt, I used to take her to the store at the first, and I've done that for all of my family members. The first of the month they didn't have a car, I'd take them to the store. And no, it wasn't to get gas money. It wasn't. I just did that because I felt like if the Lord blessed me with a vehicle, I could help someone who didn't have one. And at that time, the vehicle wasn't even mine. It was, well, my mother bought a car. She didn't drive. I drove her car, right? Yeah. But, yeah. You are not a product of your circumstances. I mean, your situation can change. You can change your life. There may be sometimes wait a minute. I got on here. I said my mom always said that sometimes a person couldn't help being poor, right? Because you are a product of your circumstances. But while you may eventually change your life, there may be some times There may sometimes be a situation out of your control, but she said that soap and water cleans anything. There is no excuses to be nasty. Okay, so I said the same thing over. So, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? I talked about this before. I'm going to insert the chart here. So, you see where it says the reason why I say give them what they need to fight with, those needs at the bottom has to be met before someone can rise to the next level. So, those needs on the bottom, that's your foundation. So, if you want your children to succeed, dress them for success. And no, it doesn't have to be $250 shoes. It doesn't have to be the latest brand name. Just make sure that they're neat and clean, right? Yeah, that's all. A relative told me one time that I shouldn't keep my son. I couldn't keep my son as clean as I did my daughters. She said he a boy, he needs to get dirty. While I do agree, and I wasn't offended or anything, as there was no need to be. But we were out and about that day, and of course he had on a white shirt. It was because I don't buy white that much. I was just telling one of my church members this. I had on I bought about 4 or 5 different white shirts and 2 dresses because we wearing, and I bought some white slacks. But we're dressing all white Sunday if I get a chance to make it over there for our 40th reunion. That's our last day together. We're going to have dinner. I'm sorry, we're gonna have brunch and worship service at a hotel downtown, and so it's an all-white affair. And I don't buy white very often. Like I don't buy my son white tennis shoes. I don't buy myself because for me, if white gets a little dirty, it looks dingy, and I won't keep it. You know what I'm saying? Even his t-shirts, we take the t-shirts, you know how some deodorants stain under your arm. Once I see that stain, we get rid of them. But what we do is we cut them up and we use them as like dusting cloths or whatever. We use them and then trash them as we use them. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, what I was saying about she told me that I couldn't keep my son. My son, he's a little boy, he need to be dirty. And yes, I let him play outside and stuff like that. But before we were actually going to visit someone or just going out shopping or whatever, yeah, I was going to make sure he had a bath, he was clean. You understand? Yeah, I did that. But best believe, before we went anywhere, he got clean. So, you know, when you look good, you feel good. So... And you know how I know? Because I still perm my hair. And yeah, I've seen other things where perms cause cancer and stuff like that. But I've been getting perms for so long. But I get the kind that you have to mix the chemicals. They're not sitting together. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But I literally get depressed when it's time for my hair to get done. Seriously. So think about how your children feel. Think about, you know, if you want them to have think highly of themselves, present them as such, right? You look good, you feel good. That's all I want to talk about. I want to talk about your kids and your appearance. And another thing, if you're a vlogger, if you're a person who keep your children, if you vlog your kids, make sure that your kids are presentable. Let me tell you why. So my mom used to have this thing. She said that people treat your family the way you treat them, right? So if you send them out looking dusty and dirty, that's how people are going to treat them, because they'll look at those kids and say those kids' parents don't care about them. I'm telling you, I substituted and I can see the difference. I really could. All right, this is over 19 minutes long, but 18. But I just wanted to come on and just briefly talk about, again, this is a ministry, and I'm reaching out to the single parents. Parents sometimes just don't know. Keep your little boy's hair cut. Keep your little girls groomed. Right. All right, y'all. I just wanted to come on and share that. Like I said, everything over here is done with love. It's not to be judgmental. It's not to be condescending. It's just what I learned. Yeah. I was a single mom with 2 girls. I kept one of those, one of those storage containers, a big one full of barrettes and ribbons and little knocker things. And I was blessed because I was in school and I had a neighbor who I remember she would braid their hair back then for maybe $25. One time she did me some bad finger waves, y'all. They were nice, 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 nice. I just, you like I said, when you look good, you feel good. So this is long enough. I just wanted to come on again, share my thoughts. Sometimes, especially young ladies with kids, they don't know. Like my niece had a little girl. She raised because the little girl mom had about 10, 11 kids, and she's 14 years old, and she became a mother the other week. So kids like that don't know. So I remember one time I had a manager. He and I were friends. Well, not friends, but we respected each other in the roles that we had. But he valued my opinion. And so one time I had kind of gotten, he had frustrated me a little bit because he was showing a guy how to mop one day when I had come in from class to work. And I said, well, what was going on with that? He said, well, he said, we assume people know things, but I asked him to mop and he told me he didn't know how, so I was showing him. So see? Yeah. But anyway, so y'all, if you can help somebody, if you see somebody in need, need a little guidance, the elders are supposed to teach the young, right? Because guess what? Think about it like this. A mom raises her kid, teaches that kid to be independent. 50 years from now, that same kid may have to take care of the mom, right? All right, y'all. It was nice talking to y'all again. Everything over here is in love. Talk to y'all later. Be blessed. Much love. Bye.